Hello friends, in this video we'll be taking a look at the autosomal DNA, predicted phenotype and traits and GD match results of a woman from Steppe Maykop culture who lived in the 4th millennium before Christ. This is what she looked like. According to my NOSHACOT, she's got brown color eyes, snub-shaped nose and black hair. She's also predicted to have wavy hair texture. And with my eye shape predictor, she's predicted to have Estonian eye shape, so pretty much typical European eye shape, wavy hair, brown eyes, snub-shaped nose and black hair color. She's heterozygous for BH1, BH2 and surprisingly BH4, which is this super rare kind of Mediterranean variant that lightens eyes. But despite having heterozygous genotype in BH2 and BH4, she's still predicted to have brown eye color, still not blue eyes, still not green eyes, still dark eye color despite all that, because really you do need to have at least 2 derived variants in BH2. You do need to satisfy this requirement in order to have blue eyes. It's nearly impossible to have blue eyes without satisfying the requirement for homozygous genotype in BH2, which she does not have. She does not have BH3, and if you look at her genotypes in SLC45A2 and SLC, she's got intermediate skin tone, intermediate coloring of other traits. If you look at her genotype in SLC24A4, she's probably got lighter eye color based on her genotypes there. She does not have any derived variants in MC1R, so we don't really have any reason to assume she might have been ginger. And if you look at her genotypes in IRF4 and TIRP1 and TIR genes, it looks like she might have had darker traits, darker pigmentation, and of course my NOSHACOT does take all of that into account. So when you see the prediction for brown eyes, this is taking all of these variations into account. Now we'll be taking a look at her results with GED match. This is what she scores with Eurogenes K13. This is actually, you might not know this, but this is a pretty typical result for an ancient North Eurasian. With the Oracle, she is closest to Malta 1, and Malta 1 is an ancient North Eurasian. However, relative to Malta 1, you see she's looking like a mixture of Malta 1 plus something from Western Asia, basically. And this is what she scores with MDLPK23B. She's scoring quite a lot of South Central Asian component here, and Ancestral Altai and European Hunter-Gatherer are sort of the ancient North Eurasian components. So she is seemingly a mixture of ancient North Eurasians plus some kind of West Asian groups, West Asian people. But she is for sure not a typical representative of the Maykop culture in the south, who were basically CHG or like very heavily CHG people. She is very heavily A&E and perhaps even heavily EHG in her ancestry. And you can see she's scoring 27% West European Hunter-Gatherer with ancient Eurasian K6. So you see in her case, it's Eastern Hunter-Gatherer admixture that she has a lot of. And she's actually getting modeled as a mixture of Iron Age steppe plus EHG. Iron Age steppe would be later people in the steppe, Indo-Europeans like Sarmatians, Scythians. So she seems to be getting modeled as a mixture of some kind of a later steppe inhabitant plus Eastern Hunter-Gatherers. And with Gedrosia K3, she's 1/4 East Eurasian and 3/4 West Eurasian. Now we'll be taking a look at her results with my genome analyzer tool, which you will find on my website. Let's begin with her genome file and see what kind of traits she has. She has AG in Comte-Valmet variation, so intermediate dopamine levels, intermediate speed of dopamine reuptake. She's got TT here in MAOA, which leads to lower activity of the MAOA enzyme. So this would be the higher dopamine levels. This would be the Warrier gene. So she's got Warrier genotype in MAOA, and she's got intermediate genotype in Comte. So more likely than not, she's a little bit more Warrier than what's average, than what's typical for the average person today. In fact, no, not even a little bit, significantly more, because most people, aside from Europeans, most non-Europeans have GG here. I don't know about MAOA, but most non-Europeans, Africans, East Asians, they have GG in Comte-Valmet variation. So she's not even a little bit more Warrior. She's a lot more Warrior than what's typical for people outside of Europe. And she does not have any no-go learner variants in DRD2 Sprofrit and SYNPRO variation. Interesting, so this means higher number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain and a higher likelihood of schizophrenia. These two go together. She's got GG here, which leads to slightly lower risk of schizophrenia and nicotine dependence. She's got GG in TAC1, so she does not have the A1 allele in TAC1. The A1 allele, if you do have it, if you have, for example, AG or AA in this variation, what that means, you would have lower availability of dopamine D2 receptors. For every A allele, it's like minus 20 or minus 40%. So it's basically having the AA genotype here. It's basically like constantly taking antipsychotics in terms of the phenotype and how the experience is like. That's basically what it's like if you have the AA genotype, and she has GG genotype, which is typical, which most people have. Most of you guys watching have GG here as well. What about here in 5-HTTLPR? She has TT here, which means short form 5-HTTLPR. Most of you guys also have short form 5-HTTLPR. Some of us are lucky to have. Oh my, Discord is. I'm gonna close Discord. Okay, so most of us have short form 5-HTTLPR, but some of us are lucky to have a long form. Like me, for example, I am resistant to depression based on my genotype here, but she's got short form, so she's got probably typical genotype. And what's typical for people is that they would have short form 5-HTTLPR and some problems with serotonin transportation. When it comes to European lactose persistence, does not carry European lactose persistence mutation. When it comes to the empathy gene OXTR, decreased OXTR expression here, and 2 variants for lower levels of empathy here. For diabetes, we only really care about this variation. CC here, which leads to a 7-fold decrease in the risk of type 1 diabetes. Does not have type 1 diabetes. For hemochromatosis, does not carry. Oh wait, what? Okay, so she does not carry this, but she does carry this. She's got GG here, which means the individual has 2 copies of the H63D variant and likely suffers from hemochromatosis. So she's got the same genotype here as me, actually, in this exact variation as well. But it's not 100%. The likelihood of her suffering from hemochromatosis is not 100% because it's usually men. It's men who are at more risk to suffer from this illness. Do you understand what I mean? Like, she's a woman, so for her the likelihood of having hemochromatosis is lower, and I think also the age of onset for women is further in time. So for men, you might have developed, if you're a man and you have this genotype, you might develop hemochromatosis when you're like 40, but if you're a woman like her, you might never develop it, or you might develop it when you're like 80. For Alzheimer's, nothing is determined, so we can't really say. Miscellaneous section, no micro P, which is really cool. I'm not going to pronounce that in full and, enunciate this, but you can read on the screen, and you already know what that means. She's got TT here, which means impaired muscle performance and likely endurance athlete rather than sprinter. Does not carry any fat gene variants in FTOs RS9939-609. I just added this here because it sounds funny. Fat gene sounds really sounds amusing. We can. Oh, she doesn't have nothing here is genotype. So I guess we're gonna have to talk about the drug response to stretch out the video a little bit. So for drug response, she's got TT here, which means more likely to gain weight if taking olanzapine. CC here, significantly higher likely to gain weight if taking Zyprexa. CC here, once again, higher odds of weight gain if taking Zyprexa. And actually CC here, which leads to less weight gain if taking Zyprexa. So overall, she'd probably be a little bit more likely to gain weight from taking Zyprexa than the average person. And that's pretty much all there is to this genome. Thanks for watching my video until the end. You can download her file in 23andMe format. And leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Goodbye.